All right, good morning, everyone. I am so not used to speaking with a microphone, so this is a little strange. I have a pretty loud voice, so I'm gonna try to bring it down a couple octaves, but I wanna welcome you all today. This is our second International Prospective Student Meetup, and the reason I wanna highlight this right away, I work at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. My name is Rebecca, and we have a global team that sort of developed towards the end of last year, and it was really to accommodate the fact that we have students from over 150 countries around the world. A lot of people don't know that. Our headquarters is in New York, so a lot of people don't realize that right away. But we developed this global team with the intention of just, being able to accommodate our international students and to reach more people. We had a meetup in Lisbon, in Portugal, in November. And that was the first one. This is the second, and I'm just really proud of that. So that's why I like to mention this right away, because it's pretty cool. Just a little tiny bit about me. Again, my name is Rebecca, and I am a graduate of IIN. I'm also a health coach, and I'm part of the global admissions team. So on top of my work as a coach, I also work in the admissions department and speak with prospective students from all over the world. But I do want to bring on Catherine, the highlight of the day. So welcome. Why don't you come on up?
Hi, everyone. I'm sure you know because I invited you here, but my name's Catherine. And I was asked, I actually got in touch with Rebecca via Instagram when I saw they were traveling around the world. I was like, is there any chance you're coming to Cape Town? And she said yes. And I was like, yay. So, and we got together like that. And so I'm very grateful to them for the opportunity to speak to you today. And really grateful that they've come to Cape Town and South Africa, because I think for a lot of people in South Africa, and certainly for me, when looking at IIN, it just seems so far away. And the whole thing with it being online, it's kind of like maybe dodgy, like is it a real qualification? So I'm really grateful that she's here in person and you can actually get to speak to a person about it. About my presentation, Rebecca's asked me to speak about my journey to becoming a health coach and my experience of being a health coach. So it's quite a personal presentation. And Rebecca's going to do a Q&A with me afterwards, and then you can also ask questions as well. Before we get talking about how I became a health coach, I think there's still a lot of unclarity about what a health coach is and what a health coach does. It certainly took me a long time for it really to sink in. Essentially, a health coach is a supportive mentor and wellness authority who partners with clients and their doctors to help them on their healing journey to feel their best through food and lifestyle changes. And I always like to keep top of mind of what I'm doing, and my intention is to empower, support, and guide people. All right, so as an introduction to me, this is my official biography on the back of my book. I'm Mom to Mila, a certified integrative nutrition health coach and award-winning author of Mila's Meals, The Beginning and the Basics. I'm an active member of the South African Society for Integrative Medicine, and I work as a health coach, online educator, consultant, speaker, focusing on topics such as food as medicine, gut health, childhood nutrition, free from feeding, nutrient-dense foods, picky eating, and primary food. I believe that food can be the best form of medicine or the slowest form of poison, and I'm on a mission to inspire, enable, and empower parents to optimally nourish their children and themselves. I see mine and my daughter's food intolerances as a blessing, which has led me down a path of learning, discovery, and good health, which will hopefully stand us in good stead for years to come. I need to take a breath. All right, so how did I come to be all of that? It's impossible. Life doesn't work like this, right, in a straight line. I don't know anyone that's gone from one thing to the next thing to the next thing in a neat and tidy fashion like this. And also, you can't fit 44 years into a straight line on one slide. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go let you know how I came to get to IIN and study with them, my experience of studying with them, and then what's happened since I graduated. And I graduated in March of 2016. So my journey to IIN, this is one version. It's more like a CV, but I found in life it's not really your CV that actually informs most of your life and who you are as a person. But anyway, I matriculated in 1993 from Brescia House in Johannesburg. I studied at UCT. I did a degree in English and psychology. I then went to AAA and studied design and branding for 3 years. I worked in London for 3 years. I moved back to South Africa and worked in Johannesburg in the design and branding field for 5 years. I was then in an armed home invasion. And like out of things that define your life, that's probably the most crucial one. Due to that, I didn't feel I could live in Johannesburg anymore, so I moved down to Knysna. My family is from there, and it's small and safe, and it's like a cocoon. So I went to cocoon myself. I carried on working as a freelance designer, and in 2012, along the way up that path, I got married, and I had my daughter Mila in 2012. After having her and becoming a mum, I came to write the book, and that is how the manuscript looked before I designed it. And because I was writing this book, and I'll show you more about how I came to write the book, because really I came to IIN because I was writing the book. I had no intention of being a health coach. I was like, I didn't actually have a clear idea of what a health coach was. I was writing this book. It was all about food. It was all about nutrition. It was about empowering people, enabling them to feed themselves and their family good food. And I thought the book would have more credibility if I had some kind of qualification to talk about food. And so I researched many courses. And to be a nutritionist, all the courses are 4-year degrees. I'd already spent 6 years studying. I didn't want to spend another 4 years studying before I could actually put this book out. And IIN like Google was just sending me IIN all the time. Even in my research for the book, some of the information was found on IIN's website. And so yeah, for me it was actually all about the book, and that's how I came to IIN. This is another version of my life story of how I came to be a health coach. I was only breastfed for 6 weeks. Apparently, my father thought it took too much of my mom's time. And formula was big in the 70s, you know, so there we go. As a child, I had recurring tonsillitis, recurring bronchitis. I had a tonsillectomy. I had my adenoids removed. I had my nostrils made bigger at the age of 12 because they thought that would help me breathe better. I had eczema, and I basically lived on antibiotics. As a teenager, I had acne and was prescribed long-term antibiotics for that too. When I went to university, I was diagnosed with yuppie flu. That was a big thing in those days. It's just, I don't think they actually knew what was wrong with you, so they just labeled it yuppie flu. I had chronic fatigue, I was anemic, and I had a severe candida overgrowth. So, I was fortunate enough to be living with a friend of mine who grew up completely differently to me. She was a hippie. I grew up in a very conservative family. And I say hippie with all love and admiration. And she said to me, like, you cannot go on more antibiotics, go see a homeopath. And so I did. And I went for kinesiology. I went to Dr. Kromhout in Sea Point all those many years ago. He's still there, you should go see him. And this set me on my new way of doing things and actually trying to get better. Then I went to London, and you know, life was good. I'd done my candida cleanse, I detoxed, I was a much nicer person, my emotions were stable. Life was good. I went to London and, you know, forgot all about it. Became a vegetarian, I call it an unconscious vegetarian. I didn't eat meat, but I ate a whole lot of bread and cheese, you know, because I wasn't eating meat. So, like, that's what I ate. And then when I came back to South Africa, I was experiencing severe pain with my monthly cycle and went to a gynae and was diagnosed with stage 3 endometriosis. And over the next 7 years, under his guidance, because I don't know why, like homeopathy and natural medicine had just like disappeared out of my brain for some reason, I had 7 laparoscopies, surgeries to remove the endometriosis. Then when I moved down to Knysna, I was flying back to Johannesburg to see my gynae to have the operations done. I had to have them done every year because the pain was so bad. And when I say so bad, like 5 myopedols wouldn't touch sides. So I was in Knysna, and my brother lived there with his wife, and my sister-in-law said to me, like, why don't you go see a homeopath? And like somewhere in the back of my mind, I was like, oh yeah, that guy, the one that cured my bronchitis, because when I went to see the homeopath, I never got bronchitis, which I used to get every year, annually. I was like, okay, so I went to go see the homeopath, and she gave me a remedy, and She said, all right, take it. It was one powder. She said, take it, let me know how you are next month. Next month, the pain was like there, but I didn't need to take painkillers. She said, okay, take the remedy again. And I did. And the following month, I was pregnant. And the guy in Joburg doing the surgery said, you'll probably never fall pregnant. So there, I was then, okay, like firm believer. Okay. Sometime later, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. Yeah, she's fine now. She's a survivor. And then after that, in my pregnancy, it was a difficult pregnancy by virtue of the fact that I was on bed rest from 26 weeks, and I had to stay lying down for 2.5 months. After Mila was born, she came at 41 weeks and 6 days. Okay, so I don't know if I really had to lie down for all that long, but anyway. I developed quite bad eczema on my hands, which I hadn't had since I was a child. And initially I thought it was from washing my hands like compulsively, because, you know, like new baby, you must have clean hands. But over the course of the year, eating anything became exceptionally difficult for me, to the point where I'd eat a baby marrow, and it looked like I was 6 months pregnant and I was in extreme agony. So I went to a functional medicine doctor, Dr. Morley in Wilderness, and he figured out that I had leaky gut and that I was gluten and dairy intolerant. This kind of it's all a bit of a blur, that first year of Mila's life. This was all going on at the same time. And it was when Mila was 6 months old that I was writing this book. And literally this book is like everything that's happened in my life has ended up in this book. But I wrote this book because breastfeeding Mila, I realized she reacted badly when I ate gluten and dairy. And what happened is when I removed those foods, oh no, I've got a video to show you. Hold on, I'll stop talking. The video is really cool and took me a long time to make, so I'm going to play it. Anyway, I was writing the book. I was seeing functional medicine doctors. I did the GAPS diet to heal my gut. Then sometime later, in 2014, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, was diagnosed with cancer. She passed, she had just turned 34, and she died 6 months later. And so she was diagnosed in September of 2014. And I was busy writing the book, and I stopped because I was helping take care of her and her children. She had a 4-year-old and an 18-month-old son. So I was helping take care of them. I wasn't working on the book. But by February, when it became obvious that she was going to beat this, I got an email from IIN. I'd been on their mailing list for like 3 years. And in my plan, it was like, yes, I'll write the book, and then one day, you know, I'll sign up and I'll study with IIN. And I got the email saying the next class is starting in a month, and they had an enrollment special. And I sat there and I was like, you know what, life is so short. So I phoned my sister-in-law. I said, I'm coming to your house, I need to use your landline, because I couldn't phone America from my house. I drove to her house, and I used her landline. Oh, first I phoned Dad. I was like, Dad, there's something I really need to do. Can I use your credit card? And and then, you know, everyone was pretty emotional, and everyone had the feeling that life is short. So he said, sure. He gave me his credit card. Then I drove to my sister-in-law's house, and I phoned IIN, and I signed up there and then. So that's also part of how I got to go there. And we'll talk about that later. I just want to show you this video because, like I said, everything started with the book. something very interesting happened in Germany. So this was 2015. My sister-in-law had passed away in April, and I was studying at IIN, and the book had been on hold. And after she passed away, like, the world is messy in grief, right? Grief is messy. It does strange things to people, and everything is chaotic. And for me, it was IIN that held me together. You know, I retreated from the world. I also had this immense sense of urgency to finish my book, which I'd already been working on for 3 years, and I'd taken it really easy. I'd gone with the flow. I'd stopped writing after my miscarriage, and then I picked it up, and then I stopped writing after my divorce, and I picked it up. But with my sister-in-law's passing, I was like, oh my God, I could die tomorrow. I need to finish this book. And so I was just at home, and I was writing my book. I was a single mom to Mila. She was 3 years old at the time, and I had IIN. And I can't tell you what that meant to me. And people often come to me, they're asking about IIN and the year studying, and, you know, they're so busy, and will there be time? And what I say to them, and what I realized in that year, is there's no such thing as the perfect time. There is only now. And my life was in complete chaos. I had so much on my plate, but it was those 5 hours every week that I just dedicated to myself, and it was the thing that grounded me and actually pulled me through that year. Because the amazing thing is, in that year of studying to be a health coach, you are health coached. So if you feel that your life is too busy, or it's overwhelming, or it's not the right time, I believe there is only now, and just know that it is the most uplifting year you'll experience. So I'd started studying in March. I published my book in November, and during that year, Mila had come to me quite a few times to say, Mama, a computer is not a real toy. When are you going to play with me? And I was like, I just need to finish writing this book. And she had also, she only started watching TV when she was 3, and she watched Peppa Pig. And she saw a lot of snow on Peppa Pig. And she was daydreaming about snow. She just wanted to play in the snow. So I don't know, like, why or how. I mean, obviously I wasn't getting enough sleep and thinking straight. But when she said this to me about, you know, me playing on a computer and not spending enough time with her, I promised to take her to see the snow when the book was done, which I had no idea how I'd do that. But anyway, that kept her happy for like 6 months. She bought that. Anyway, the book was published in November. Well, it went to print in November. And as fate would have it, friends of mine came for lunch. And I asked them what they were doing in the December holidays. And they said, no, we're going to Germany to stay in my aunt and uncle's castle. I was like, wow, that's the dream, you know? And she was like, well, why don't you come with? I'll phone my aunt and see if there's space in the castle. And yeah, 2 weeks later, Mila and I were off to Germany to stay in a castle. And we got to play in the snow. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because during that year, obviously, enormous stress. And while my eczema had cleared up in the years before, it came back with such a vengeance to the point where the lifeline on my hand, it split open like someone had cut it with a knife, to the point that I had to wear a bandage. And the list of foods that I couldn't eat was just growing by the day. I had been grain-free for a year. I was still gluten, sugar, and dairy-free, like strictly. I couldn't eat grains anymore. I couldn't eat chicken. I couldn't eat potatoes. And when I ate any of those foods, I could literally watch my hand, and within 20 minutes, blisters would start forming. And like an hour later, that lifeline would split wide open. And yeah, my diet was clean. You know, the food I was putting in, it was clean, clean, clean. And there were smoothies and green juices and supplements and superfoods and you name it. Anyway, we got invited to go to Germany, and I've like got this hand, and I was like, you know what? When in Rome, do as the Romans. I'm going to Germany. I'm going to eat those bagels. I'm going to eat that bread. I'm going to eat the yogurt. I'm going to eat the cheese. I'm going to eat it all because, you know, that's the experience of the country, right? I went to my doctor. I got some cortisone cream. I was armed and ready. We went to Germany. And we spent 3 weeks away in total. And I ate all the bagels and German breads like every day. I mean, like I wasn't like shy about it at all. And there was no eczema, like nothing. I was like, wow, this is like, I'm healed, you know? And anyway, I came when we flew home. I was like, yes, I can eat, because roast chicken and potatoes is like one of my favorite meals. And I hadn't been able to eat them for a long time. Like from childhood, that was my comfort food. That's what I asked my mom to make on my birthday every year. So we flew back from Germany. I knew I had to launch the book. And I got home and I made my roast chicken and potatoes. Within 20 minutes, my skin split open. I was like, this doesn't make sense. And that's when something I had written in the book that had gone to print, that was like written and published, it's like only made sense to me then. and that is that no amount of good food can nourish a starving soul. And this is a concept that I learned at IIN, and it is the concept that I believe sets them apart from other nutrition degrees or certifications. It's the one that makes the biggest impact in my life, and certainly in my client's life, and it is the reason that I have then gone on to actively health coach people. So this is their food plate. And when you get home, like, please Google what South Africans' food plate looks like, because it's like a crime against humanity. So this is like any fairly healthy living person, this would make sense, and we kind of eat like that, right? But this is the full plate. You've got the food that you put in your mouth. At IIN, they believe that that food is secondary. Your primary food, the other things that nourish you, are relationships, physical activity, career, and spirituality. So I like to broaden that a little bit because my mom was a bit upset that she doesn't have a career. so she couldn't fill that part of her plate. So I like to broaden that to be life purpose. There's that book, Ikigai, which is like a whole philosophy around it. And physical activity is also, you don't have to go to the gym and wear your Fitbit, and count your steps. It's any movement. Like if you're a new mom, put the music on in your lounge and dance with your little kid. Just move the body. So primary food is essentially nourishment that doesn't appear on your dinner plate. And I've mentioned the 4 core ones. For adults, I asked Joshua Rosenthal, the founder of IIN, I was like, what about kids? and he was stumped, actually. And then I said, well, they wouldn't have a career, so can we just swap that out and put play? Because for kids, when they climb that jungle gym and they reach the top, there's a sense of achievement and purpose. And that is what people should be getting from their career or life purpose as well. So for kids, it would be play. The premise is that when these areas of your life are in balance, food is secondary. Joshua Rosenthal, IIN's founder, director, and primary teacher, says that healthy relationships, regular physical activity, a fulfilling career, and a spiritual practice can fill your soul and satisfy your hunger for life. My add-on there, it is essentially soul food. And that's what happened when I was in Germany with Mila. And it was one of the biggest lessons I learned at IIN, because even though I was eating so clean, and like literally the plate I held at dinner time was like super clean. When I looked at my primary food plate, it wasn't even like a mess, it was just empty, Relationships, I'd just gotten divorced. I'd just lost my sister-in-law. Our family fell apart after that. I was working on the book. I wasn't spending enough time with Mila, and I certainly wasn't spending enough time with myself. So relationships include relationship to self. So that was empty before. Physical activity, I was sitting behind a computer. Career, I'd stopped being a designer and brander and branding consultant, and I was writing a book that I was going to self-publish, which, in terms of risky, that's way out there. So career, I didn't really have one. And then spirituality, when this was in one of the modules in IIN, when it came up, I literally did not know what that meant. I was confirmed Anglican. I went to a Catholic church. I went and lived in Thailand for 3 months and studied Buddhism. And I had a vague idea, but in terms of spirituality, I literally did not know what it meant. But when I went to Germany, I was spending quality time with Mila. We were having so much fun. I was laughing. We were tobogganing. I was pulling her up a mountain. The ski slopes weren't open, so it was all manual labor. Pulling her up the mountain, sliding down with her. My career, I published the book. It was waiting for me when I got home, so I was kind of hopeful about that. And spirituality, I came to realize spirituality for me means anything that connects you to self. So for me, it's spending time in nature, it's meditating, it's anything that really makes me laugh and makes you light up inside, There was a whole lot of that in Germany. And hence, I could eat the bagels and the yogurt and the cheese, and my eczema was fine. When I came back from Germany, did I start health coaching? No, because remember, I never wanted to be a health coach. So what followed was a year of introducing the world to my book. I self-published, and what that means is you are responsible for marketing and distributing the book. A publisher will normally pay for the printing, they'll market it, they'll distribute it, they'll set up events. All of that I took on myself. There were wonderful ups and devastating downs, long hours of marketing, pushing, promoting, and selling. And then that happened. I got an email saying I entered my book into a whole lot of international book awards, because I thought I just need one sticker on my cover to give it more credibility. Because on the back cover, I hadn't finished studying at IIN, so it said on the back cover of the first edition, I was studying to be a health coach. So I was like, okay, like I'm not qualified yet, so I need something else to give this book credibility, so I entered into some awards. I only entered the Gourmand World Cookbook Awards because it was free. I didn't really actually think I'd win one. So I won Best in South Africa for first book, and once you're a winner in your country, all the winners of the country get invited to the award ceremony. This year it was held in China, and from there you get mixed up with all the other countries in categories, and they choose the best in the world cookbooks from there. So all top 3 get the badge of best in the world, and luckily for me, that person from Mauritius wasn't there, so I got to go on stage and get my award on stage. So my book won Gourmand Best in the World for first book. So that happened. And then all this happened. So I entered all these awards because I just wanted one sticker, and I ended up getting so many stickers that I couldn't put them all on the book. And then did I start health coaching? No, there was no time to be a health coach, I said to myself. Also, being a single mom to a 4-year-old and running my own business as a startup, I felt I didn't have the emotional capacity or energy to commit to one-on-one counseling and coaching with people, because in my mind it was still, that's what a health coach did, right? One-on-one coaching. And then I wondered where all my time was going, and I realized I was writing a lot of emails because people had got the book and then there were just emails and I was replying to them, and oftentimes I'd spend a whole day writing this email, researching it and getting back to people. I was also invited to lecture the doctors of the South African Society for Integrative Medicine while still not feeling I was a health coach. And Dr. Daphne Lyle is here today. And doctors were prescribing my books to their patients, and I still didn't feel like I was a health coach. And I've been invited to a few schools to do talks there. This was for SACS. And I contribute to a lot of articles on nutrition and healthy living. And then Talitha is here today. Talitha organizes amazing events through her company and brand, Healthy Kids Are Cool. I just want to show you this. I'm still not a health coach in my mind at this point. So anyway, after I was doing all of this so I graduated from IIN in 2016. And yeah, so from 2016 pretty much until 2019, this is what I was doing, but still not believing I was a health coach. I thought, oh, I'm a book publisher. And when people ask me, like, what do you do? I was like, oh, you know, some days I'm a book publisher, some days I'm an author. Like, I'm a mom. I know I'm a mom. But anyway, I suddenly had my aha moment that through all what I was doing, I was empowering, supporting, and guiding people. I was a health coach. And that is the beauty of an IIN qualification, is it's not necessarily about you doing one-on-one coaching sessions with a client. You can choose your best life. You can live your most authentic life and choose where you want it to take you, and you can earn a living from it. Because as an IIN graduate, there's so much that opens up to you. Grads are doing private coaching practices. They're working in doctors' offices. Dr. Frank Lipman from the 1111 Wellness Center in New York works with a whole team of health coaches, and he's South African. He's one of the lecturers at IIN. He's amazing. Go look him up. He really is incredible. And he diagnoses his clients, and then he passes them on to health coaches, and they walk the path. And then they go back and check in with him, and he runs more diagnostic tests. Other grads are beauty and wellness projects and products, cooking and meal planning services, write books, it counts, and lead corporate wellness trainings. So because of the concept of primary food, relationships, physical activity, career, and spirituality, if you're already in one of those fields, you can do the IIN course to get the secondary food education, the nutrition education, and you can add to what you're already doing. So a lot of yoga instructors, fitness instructors, they then do the course to grow the scope of their practice. In a lot of corporate wellness, if you've been in the corporate world, you know the pitfalls. You know how stressed people are. You know they're not eating properly, they're not resting, they're not sleeping, too much blue light, all of that. You can, if you want to get out of that corporate world, do this and go back in there to be their health coach because you speak their language already. So it really, I can't say enough how much it empowers you. Not just in your career as well. I'm definitely a better parent and a better friend and a better daughter and a better sister because I've done this course, because of the coaching skills you learn, the active listening, the leading questions. Like, I do not get one-word answers from Mila because of the leading questions. It's really things you learn in the course, you apply to your everyday life. And when you're living your most authentic life, even though it's risky and it's hard and it's challenging and it's like really, really scary, you get emails like this popping into your inbox. I cannot describe the immense feeling of satisfaction and accomplishment after I've cooked a meal using your guidelines. My new way of preparing food to make it as nutrient-dense as possible has given me a new purpose and sense of gratification for real food. After each meal, I am proud and feel that I have accomplished so much more than just feeding my kids. After my 2-year-old was diagnosed with cancer last year, doing enormous amounts of research, seeing professors, doctors, nutritionists, I ultimately landed here. Mila's Meals has forever changed my life, my outlook on food and nutrition, and what I feed my family. This has had a ripple effect of change on my entire family, parents, 2 sisters, both with newborns. Words cannot describe how thankful I am. Please consider writing another book. P.S. Enjoy your trip to China, it's well deserved. Avia is now cancer-free, received news this Monday. I get all teary when I read that. So Marilise came to one of my talks, and that's how she got hold of my book. And then she wrote me this email a few months later. And this was about 2 years ago. And since then, she's had another baby. And the whole family is in good health. And that's the thing about health coaching. It is a viable business. Just so you know, IIN is real. It's credible. It is actually like a golden ticket in this field as far as I'm concerned. But like when you do this work and you get emails like that, you realize more than it being a business, it's an honor and privilege to play this role in someone's life. And now that I've stepped into being a health coach, like literally in December, someone asked me what I do, and I said, I'm a health coach for the first time. So this is what's on my plate for this year, being a health coach. I'm on the organizing committee for SASM's medical conference. SASM is a society, South African Society for Integrative Medicine. Their congress is in May at Spear Wine Farm, because that's a good food place. We're getting Farmer Angus to come there. And look, there's you. Dr. Daphne Lyle is an integrative medicine doctor. Her practice rooms are here on Kloof Street. And I met Daphne actually at one of Talitha's talks. Talitha, where is you? There. Talitha invited me to come to Cape Town when I was living in Knysna to come do a talk to new moms. And at that talk, I met Daphne. And Daphne had tears in her eyes when she said, thanks for writing the book. I was like, what? And Daphne and I have since become friends. And she has invited me to partner with her to be the health coach to her clients, which is a huge honor for me. We're meeting on Wednesday to chat about it. The second edition of my books have arrived. They arrived late December. So now I'm in the process and the phase of getting them out to the world. And then I'm opening up my own practice. I have been so blessed to form, technically it's a mastermind. I started a mastermind group of other women and entrepreneurs all running our own business, because I think we all need to stand together and help each other. 3 of them are in the room here today. And one of them is Robin Smith, the founder of Faithful to Nature. She has taken a new path in her life, and she is now a spiritual practitioner. And she has bought a property in Noordhoek, and she's going to open a wellness center there. And she's invited me to have my practice rooms there, which is incredible. So we're going to have like literally the primary and secondary food come to life in this wellness center. Then I've been asked, or like kind of begged, Joburg people beg, to please go there and do talks. So Mila and I are very excited. We're going to go on like a little road tour in the March holidays, hopefully, and do talks. We've been invited to Joburg, Durban, PE, and Cape Town. Then a big win for me would be to sell my publishing rights to an international publishing company, because I'm getting requests from people to buy the book from places like Australia, and it's not affordable for me to ship it there. But also I feel now with the second edition it's polished and it's ready and it needs to fly. I'm going to start a subscription service on Patreon. I don't know if you know Patreon. You can go check it out. It's a really awesome platform. But I get a lot of requests to do talks and appear in public, which I really love doing. But logistics and costs and stuff is really prohibitive. So I'm just going to appear. You can sign up as a patron. You pay a monthly subscription fee, and I'll show up once a month on my laptop in my kitchen probably, and I'll be doing talks and or Q&As or showing you how to cook something. And then, again with Daphne, we're going to be so busy. We're looking at doing me time wellness retreats for like exhausted moms, because that's what I need. So I'll do it for others too. So to sum it up, I simply cannot recommend IIN highly enough. For me, it was nothing short of revolutionary, life-changing, and most importantly, life-affirming. And I ask you, what is your story, and how will you share it with the world? Health coaching is more than just a niche in healthcare. It is a powerful movement for change that is creating a better world. Thank you for your time. That's me.
But I think, Catherine, honestly, you are such a testament to the fact that your life doesn't need to be in like the most perfect place to be a health coach, or even if you're not going to say that just yet, to just go through the process. I think, you know, and I speak to prospective students every day. It's what I love so much about my job is asking that question, like, what even led you here? You don't need to know what you're doing or what your business model looks like, any of those things. It's really just about kind of trusting the process of the program personally, and then, you know, professionally, and then we'll start talking about your business. But it's really about you first and showing up for yourself. So I think your journey really paints that picture perfectly. To kind of tie things back to the program, I just want to speak to the course a little bit, just so that you guys have more of an understanding as to like what the program is all about. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end, and we can go through some of your questions. But essentially, the health coach training program, because that's what it is called, it's a comprehensive online program that is essentially going to cover all aspects of holistic nutrition and wellness, as well as the coaching skills and the business building steps that are really necessary to do something in the wellness industry, to build a business, all of those practical action steps. That's what I like to call them. And Catherine did some of the work for me already, but I'm going to talk basically about two of our core concepts, the first of which is bioindividuality. And this is why we look at so many different dietary theories in the program. This was something that I really appreciated in the course, you know, having a really objective and unbiased look into so many different theories. And this could be, you know, a brain or gut health diet, an anti-inflammation diet. We talk about recent trends, things like keto, like gluten-free. We'll talk about centuries-old modalities like Ayurveda and paleo and macrobiotics. So it's such a wide net that we cast, you know, when it comes to nutrition. And with that, we're encouraging you to figure out what works well for you, and then maybe how you want to build or cater your business from there if you're looking to work within a specific space. We really speak to that. And then the other concept is that of primary food, which is basically the understanding that our health is impacted by so much more than what we're eating. You know, things like our career, our relationships, our physical activity, our spirituality, all those other missing pieces of the plate that we really speak to, because all of those things are just as important, if not more important, than what we're actually eating. And this sort of just breaks down, what you can expect on the business development side of the program, and that's probably the question that I get the most. Like, how am I even going to do this? How am I going to put myself out there? How can I help people? Like, even if you feel like you have tons of knowledge to share, sometimes actually getting out there and doing that is the really scary and intimidating thing. But we're walking you through all of those steps, from that initial consultation to understanding how to use that to build programs for clients, to actually market and advertise your business, whether that's with an online platform, in your community. We're taking you through all of those steps so that you feel really, really comfortable with that. These are just some of our visiting teachers, and I did want to highlight this because one of the unique things about this program is that every week when we're learning about a new dietary theory, a new business concept, you're also learning from somebody new, and these are people that are really considered to be leaders and experts in nutrition, healthcare, and business. No other program can say that, and this was another thing that I really enjoyed about the course, being able to always learn from somebody new. You might be introduced to somebody new or a new perspective that you wouldn't have found otherwise. It might, have you thinking about things differently, and I really appreciated that. So a wide range of people that you can expect to see. And then when it comes to the online platform, just because online learning is still a new thing and maybe something that maybe some of you aren't necessarily comfortable with, but it's a really, we support you a lot throughout the program, despite everything being online. And when it comes to actually how everything is structured, you have the choice of completing the program in either a year or 6 months. We went through the year program. That was the only option at that time, but we've since introduced a 6-month accelerated program. It's the same course, just condensed into half the time. 1 module per week with the year program, 2 modules per week with the accelerated program. So it's all the same stuff. You're just working through things a little bit faster. And then in terms of the support, as I mentioned, this is why we have set start dates, why we have you go through with a class, with a community. We really want to make sure that you feel that support as you're learning and building your business. And one of the really unique things too about just this community of people, and I'm talking about, the students really, everyone is just really proactive in terms of, reaching out to one another, forming study groups, working with an accountability partner, facilitating a meetup. This community really is just proactive with things like that. And that is a game changer when you're trying to take your career in a new direction. So with that, Catherine, you also spoke a little bit about some of the career opportunities, but I wanted to speak to this as well because there are so many different things you can do with this, whether you're calling yourself a health coach or not. There's so many ways that a degree, a certification in holistic nutrition can translate into a business, and that could mean, one-on-one coaching. It could mean running retreats. It could mean partnering with another professional, maybe opening up a wellness center, developing a product, writing a book. There's so many things that you can do, and you can sort of expect in the business development side of the program for us to help you figure that out. Again, you don't have to know exactly what that looks like for you just yet. And these are the upcoming sessions. So the way that our start dates work is that we begin the year programs on the odd months and then the accelerated programs on the even months. And it's typically the second Monday of the month. So these are the open classes at the moment. The January 13th class is still open. So if you have your eye on the year program and you don't want to wait till March, everyone's still working through the first module, so you're not behind. You can definitely still jump in. We'll probably have it open through the end of this week if we don't fill up before that, because we do cap off the classes.